I got a daisy feeling. I got a daisy feeling. Yeah.
All right, welcome back to Day to Love Today, part 3. Thanks so much for coming back today. I love y'all today.
If you've come back 3 times, you know that this joke has been made more than 3 times.
I'm Jaby KOAY, joined by STEPH SABRAW.
Hello.
And yes, so y'all know the deal. If you want to watch the whole thing without any cuts or interruptions, head over to our Patreon page or become a member of this channel. You'll get the full uncut reaction, but you'll need your own copy of the movie so you can open it up in an adjacent window to our reaction. There you go. And we'll give you 3, 2, 1 countdown sync, and it'll be like you're watching it with 2 of your favorite pals from the internet. All right. Let's get back into this. Here we go.
உன் மேல நான் கையை வைக்கல. எதுக்குடா அழுவுற இப்ப நீ?
ஏய், என்னடா ஆச்சு?
நான் மாமா ஒரு பொண்ணு கூட சட்டி வந்தாரு. பாத்து அடிச்சிட்டாரு.
மத்தவங்க போலாம் உனக்கு எதுக்குடா? இல்லனா இப்படி தான் அடிப்பாங்க. வா.
ஒரே செகண்ட் நான் பாத்துட்டேன்.
ஒரே ஒரு செகண்ட் தான கொடுங்களே.
இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் கால் வரும்.
ஐயோ, ஒரே செகண்ட். ஒரே செகண்ட்.
This kid is so dramatic.
ஒரு செகண்ட் முடிஞ்சிச்சு.
ஐயோ, அவர்கிட்ட ஐபோன் இருக்கா? எங்க கிட்ட இல்ல. அதானே? இது என்ன பெரிய கூத்தால இருக்கு?
அப்ப நீங்க பண்ணல. நீங்க பண்ணலல்ல?
Who else is in the group?
என் ஆளுக்கு முன்னாடியே அக்கவுண்ட்ல இருந்து மெசேஜ் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன். உனக்கு அவள முன்னாடியே தெரியும். ஆனா நான் அன்னைக்கு இன்ட்ரோ듀ce பண்ணும்போது அப்படியே 2 பேரும் தெரியாத மாதிரி நடிச்சீங்க. இப்பதான் வரும்போது பார்த்தேன். அவன் என்ன மெசேஜ் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கான்னு நான் காட்டுறேன். கார்மேக குழலியே குட் மார்னிங்.
மச்சான் அதெல்லாம் முன்னாட்றா.
ஏய் சை, ஒருத்த ஃப்ரெண்டோட ஆள்னு கூட பார்க்காம ட்ரை பண்ணிருக்கா. இவனுக்கு போய் சப்போர்ட் பண்றீங்க?
I don't get when guys do that shit. That's so confusing to me.
எவனும் இங்க இருக்கான். எல்லாரும் கிளம்புடா.
ஏய் இது வந்தாலும் பேசி தீத்து.
ஏய் சை, பா. சாவச்சுரு போடா.
It's like shitting where you eat, you know? Like, why would you mess with your friend's girlfriend
Yeah,
or try
it's
to?
so messed up.
இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய பசங்க வழியிறாங்க. இவளும் வழியல. ஆனா எல்லாருக்கும் உட்காந்து பதில் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கா. அதான் வழியிறாங்கன்னு தெரியுதுல்ல, மூடிட்டு போடான்னு சொல்ல வேண்டியது தானே.
உங்களுக்குள்ள இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் ஏண்டி ரவி கிட்ட போய் சொல்ற? உன்னை பத்தி அவன் வேற பொண்ணுக்கிட்ட டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணா உனக்கு எப்படி இருக்கும்?
ஆனா ரவி அப்படி இல்ல. முதல்ல இருந்து நானும் பிரதீப் சேரணும் தான் அவன் பாக்குறான்.
No.
உன் கூட இருந்து நீ இவ்ளோ கஷ்டப்படுறத என்னால பார்க்க முடியல. நீலாம் எப்படி இருக்குன்னு தெரியுமா? உன்ன மாதிரி பொண்ணெல்லாம் கிடைக்கிறதே கஷ்டம்.
Oh my god, guy.
அவனுக்கு நீலாம் ரொம்ப அதிகம். அவனை எப்படி நீ லவ் பண்ண? இன்னும் ஒரு 5 மாசம் கழிச்சு அவன் போட்டோ பாரு. இவனையா லவ் பண்ணுவோம் நீயே ஃபீல் பண்ணுவ. ஆக்சுவலா நான் உன்கிட்ட ஒன்று சொல்லணும்.
Oh boy.
நான் இன்னும் உன்னை லவ் பண்றேன் நிக்கிதா.
அவன் மனசுல இடம் பிடிக்க அவனுங்க அடி வாங்கி கூட சாவானுங்க. ஆனா அவனுக்கு தெரியாது, செத்தாலும் அவளுக்கு அவன் மேல ஃபீலிங்ஸ் வராது. இதெல்லாம் பண்ணாட்டா கூட சில விஷயம்லாம் ஒரு தடவை போச்சுன்னா திரும்ப கிடைக்கவே கிடைக்காது. அம்மாக்கு அறிவில்லதான்.
Just make the toxic relationship work. It'll be all right. Y'all might kill each other. One of you's gonna have a heart attack from all the stress and anxiety of the relationship, but you'll be all right.
But it's fun.
It's fun, yeah.
You're not single.
Exactly. At least you're not alone and you're passionate.
Please.
Who sent those messages?
Yeah. I think it was the guy from work.
போன வாரம் என் கல்யாண பத்திரிக்கையை என் ஃப்ரெண்டுக்கு அனுப்பிச்சேன். அவன் குரூப்ல போட்டான். என்னாச்சு தெரியுமா?
இவனுக்கு இவளா எடு செருப்ப.
அவன்டா அந்த கல்யாண பொண்ணு.
இவனுக்கு கை தண்ணிட்டதுக்கு எங்கடா போய் தண்டவாளத்துல கை தண்ணிட்டலாம்.
That's mean.
பத்தாத குறைக்கு உடம்பு குறைக்கிறேன்னு பாடி டிரான்ஸ்ஃபர்மேஷன் ஃபோட்டோ வேறு எடுத்து வச்சிருக்கேன். அது என்னாலே பார்க்க முடியல. அந்த குழந்தை எப்படி தான் பார்த்து வச்சு தெரியல பாவம். என்ன பார்க்குற? அதான் அந்த லேடி ஜிம் ட்ரெயினரு. அவ கூட தான் செட்டியோ நின்று ஃபோட்டோ எடுத்தேன். அதை போய் ஒரு விஷயத்த மறைச்சா அது உங்களுக்கு தெரியாமல் இருக்கணுன்றது தான் அர்த்தம். அது தப்பான விஷயமா இருக்கணும்னு அவசியமே இல்லையே.
ஆனா இதெல்லாம் என்கிட்டே சொல்லிருக்கலாமே.
சொல்லியிருந்தா அன்றைக்கே கட்டாக இருக்குமே. இப்போதான் பிரதீப் சொன்னான் நீ எல்லாத்தையும் கேட்டுட்ருக்கன்னு. இவ்வளோ கேட்டதுக்கப்புறம்
I'm surprised you didn't be like, no, boo. No, boo. We good. We good. Your story was believable. Exactly.
டேய் நான் அவள்கிட்ட பேச ட்ரை பண்ணடா ஆனா அதெல்லாம் நீ பேசக்கு முன்னாடி வரைக்கும்டா சொல்ல வேணாம் எனக்கு தெரியலடா பயமா இருந்துச்சுடா அட சத்தியமா சொல்றேன் மச்சான் பயத்துல தான் அப்படி பண்ணிட்டேன்.
Did what out of fear?
Did all of that out of fear.
What did he do out of fear?
I guess not telling him that they had
gotcha.
talked. He tried.
What? Oh, it's a deep fake.
என்ன நிக்கிதா இது?
ஏய் எப்படி இத நெட்ல இருந்து எடுக்கிறது?
இது ஏற்கனவே வைரல் ஆயிடுச்சு. பண்றது தான் பண்றீங்க வீடியோல எடுக்கறேன்.
ஏய்
என்னடி கஷ்டமா இல்ல என்னடி அது நீ இல்லன்னு சொல்ல போறியா அது நீ இல்லன்னு சொல்ல போறியா
It's a deep fake.
Oh no.
பெரிய பிரச்சனை ஆயிடுச்சு. அக்கா வீட்டு விட்டு வெளியே போயிட்டா.
மச்சான் இதுல அவ ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸுக்குலாம் கால் பண்ணி அவ எங்க இருக்கான்னு அவ வந்தா அண்ணா கொஞ்சம் கால் பண்ண சொல்றீங்களா?
She at the beach. Oh no.
What? What is it?
I don't know. I just like.
Hey,
Oh, you think she hung herself?
Yeah.
தேடி தோண்டி பார்க்கறியா? ஐயோ சந்தேகப்பட்டு தோண்டி தோண்டி பார்த்தா எப்படி வளரும்? வளரும்னு நம்பி மூடி வைக்கணும் வளரும்.
ஒரு வாரம் டைம் இல்லல அவ்வளவுதான்.
Oh. You're right. Maybe it's a really small beach. What landmark would he have used to locate her?
Pradeep, சத்தியமா நான் அது பண்ணல.
நான் நம்புறேன். ரொம்ப சாரி. உன்னை ஹர்ட் பண்ணிருந்தா.
I'm kind of confused if I'm being totally honest, because she did lie to him multiple times. Are they?
அந்த வீடியோல இருக்கிறது அந்த பொண்ணு இல்ல. உண்மையான வீடியோ இதுதான். இதுல தான் நிகிதாவோட ஃபேஸை டீப் ஃபேக் சாஃப்ட்வேர் வச்சு நான் மார்க் பண்ணேன். ஒரு கெத்து ட்ரெண்டிங்காக இப்படி பண்ணிட்டேன். ஆனால் அதோட இம்பாக்ட் எவ்வளோ பெருசாக இருக்கும்னு நான் எதிர்பார்க்கல.
Oh my god. What an actual horrible human.
Yeah, you deserve punishment for that kind of
Fully
thing. Fully
lock him up. You're ruining people's lives, making them suicidal.
20 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி 10 பேர் லவ் பண்ணா அதுல யாராச்சும் ஒருத்தங்கற சேருவாங்க. மத்தவங்கள பெத்தவங்களே பிரிச்சிருவாங்க. இப்போ அதே கறதா ஒருத்தங்க தான் ஒன்னு சேர்றாங்க. ஆனா பெத்தவங்க பிரிக்கிறது இல்ல. நீங்களே பிரிச்சிடுறீங்க. நான் இத பண்ணனது உங்க ரெண்டு பேருக்குள்ள பிரச்சனை வந்து பிரியணுங்கிறதுக்காக.
Sure seems like it, dude.
எத்தனை பிரச்சனை வந்தாலும் பிரியாம இருக்கீங்களான்னு பார்க்கிறதுக்காக.
God. I mean, I respect the philosophy, because the fact of the matter is you get swept up in the stars and the glamour of it all, like that initial honeymoon period, but like it's hard to educate you on what to do after that.
Yeah. Like
எனக்கு ஓகே. உங்க அம்மா எப்போ வர சொல்றீங்க?
Never. Are you kidding me? Y'all are crazy. Taking my dog. Getting out of this bitch.
you like beat up your daughter without question.
இன்னும் ஒரே கேள்விதான். நிகிதாவுக்கும் தங்கச்சிக்கும் யார் அப்படி அசிங்கமா மெசேஜ் அனுப்பிச்சா? அவங்களோட முகம் தெரியல, ஆனா அவங்களும் நம்மளோட தான் இந்த உலகத்துல இருக்காங்கல்ல.
தட்டை மாத்துறதுக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம 2 பேரும் மொபைலை மாத்திக்கலாமா?
We gotta swap mobiles.
I can tell you one thing, I'm not doing any of the things they've done.
Without a doubt, a very interesting movie with some interesting ideas that it imparts on you. I like it for young folks who might watch this. You and I have both been through some toxic relationships, and I feel like you learn so much.
Totally.
Really fast about what you don't want and what you do want and what you want to stay the hell away from. This was confusing to me because she lied many times, and the things she was doing just looked so suspect, and he never really addressed it in a way that is like allowed me to forgive it.
Right. No, totally. I think it was really well acted, and I liked the approach that it was kind of taking this weird look on love today. I liked the lessons it was imparting, but the means in which it got to the lessons, I don't think justified the lesson for what you're saying,
Okay,
right? Like,
listening.
she did these things and he did these things, but like definitely on her, it's like those are all in the realm of cheating, right? And none of those were really addressed.
It sure comes close if it isn't cheating itself. It sure comes really close.
Really close. And then it's like, so we're just gonna be like, that's okay?
Yes, that's. I think the idea is that we all keep secrets. That's the point of the movie. Is we all have secrets. We've all got skeletons in our closet, and we do these things to avoid hurting the other person. And oftentimes, the secrets aren't actually malicious or meant to. Like, okay, for instance, she went out with her ex, but she didn't like kiss him. I don't even know if she actually held hands with him. She didn't actually do anything. She, for her part, was just being friendly. It still makes me uncomfortable. Like, if I'm putting myself in his position, I'm like, there's something still weird there. For instance, I've heard toilet seats are really, really clean. This is a weird analogy, but just go with me. I put down the toilet seat covers. If they don't have toilet seat covers, I put down toilet paper. And people have told me like, yo, like actually, some ex-girlfriend was like, actually, the toilet seats are probably the cleanest part of the bathroom. And I'm like, would you eat off of that? No, it's still icky. It's like, it's still gross. There's a hurdle I can't get past there. And I feel like the same thing where if I was dating someone, there's still something that just feels awful. Well, like where you're hanging out with an ex at night in a romantic setting.
And lying about what you're doing.
Yeah, I know that it's considered sexist or misogynistic by today's standards, but it's like, maybe your intentions are fine, but his are clearly not. And it's like, it's not that I don't trust you, I don't trust him or them.
Yeah.
And that creates an issue. And it's like, well, you're taking away my agency, taking away my freedom, whatever it might be. It's like, okay, but let's say that you're in a circumstance where you're alone and he tries to overpower you. Your judgment might be off about the guy. Oftentimes, those kinds of situations, those awful situations, the grapes that happen are from people that you know. And so, I don't know, like I'm not trying to like create paranoia or be controlling. It's like, but I'm just being honest about my response to the situation. It's like you're hanging out with a dude by yourself at night. It just looks weird and suspect.
But in addition to that, I feel like at least the way I approach my relationships, and if you're dating someone that you think is the one or you actually want to be serious with, then you avoid temptation. It's like really that simple. And it goes back to the golden rule, as corny as that is, like treat others as you would like to be treated. If you wouldn't want your man with their ex, why in the world would you be with yours? Even if there's nothing there, it's not right. It's just like that simple. It can be that simple, but we like make things complex, and we try to like, and I feel like women do this too, like where we like try to own our agency, and we're like, well, no, they can't control me. And it's like, that's a really weird way of looking at love, instead of being like, I really want to respect my partner and like metaphorically bring him into the room with me, even if he's not there. Like I would never be texting someone if I had a man. Like that is just so wrong.
Then his participation in that group chat, texting random girls,
being
and
on Tinder.
Well, I don't know when he was on Tinder. The thing that like seemed to really drive her nuts was two things. It was the short films thing where he was like, oh, I'm making a short film. I need you to send me these photos.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It is creepy. He's not sleeping with them. It's just weird.
I wouldn't want a partner who did that.
Okay.
Because they're weird. I just think that's unattractive.
I think there's a lot of things that guys that you have not only dated but are interested in do that you would find completely repulsive and that you just don't know. We like to have this abstract idea of who our partner is. We all do it, guys and girls. We like to pretend that we know who they are, and like there's this picture we have, but it's a veneer. We keep this veneer because it makes us comfortable and feel better because it represents what Disney tells us we're supposed to have. But there's like this other layer, several layers of their personality. And that's what this movie's kind of highlighting, that we just don't want to look at and we don't want to deal with. And it's for all intents and purposes, that's why you shouldn't look at each other's phones, because there's an aspect of their personality you probably don't want to know about. Unless they're like Ted, what's his name?
Bundy?
Ted Bundy or something. Like, okay, obviously that's a problem, but generally speaking, we've got all our weird kinks.
Metaphor with the mango tree was nice, like in terms of like, we said it, like if you go digging, you're going to find something.
Yeah.
And you can't let something grow if you go digging for it. I agree with that to an extent. Like, I really do think if it's like, at least for me, my life partner, I would want to be able to like know every aspect about them. And I do think that an element of privacy is important, but when it has to do with your character, like what you're seeking out and kind of like exploiting women, that's a character flaw. That's not necessarily like the kind of porn you search.
Sure.
You know, like, so that's like a little much. But the one thing I did really enjoy was the last conversation he had with his mother about like, we often don't think things are precious until we feel like they're gone forever. And I think that is a pretty strong notion, but it's like, I don't know, like you should just not screw around with something that you love so much.
I think you said something interesting. I don't like the idea of toying with people's feelings. I'm very much against that. He might have been doing that, you know, by like he's promising them a part in a movie or something like that. That's messed up. It's especially messed up because these girls are doing something that's quite vulnerable and he's just using it to presumably jerk off or something. And that's gross. I can honestly say I have not done that. That's really grody. Like, as I'm trying to defend it, I'm like, why am I trying to defend this action? And I think the reason I'm trying to defend it is because guys are called perverts or gross and all this stuff for a whole host of things all the time, or dumb. Guys are dumb. And it's like, I've reached a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to defend guys. I'm tired of guys being called dumb all the time and this and that. And so it has this appearance of being like overcorrection. Like I used the word earlier, like people, I've gotten comments online that I'm misogynistic. It's like, no, I'm just defensive. There's a big difference because misogyny, just to clarify before I get comments, misogyny implies a hatred of women, which is not my position at all. I love women. So it's a totally different thing. I just notice guys get a bad rap, but I'm like, after listening to you talk about it, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty messed up though. That's really gross.
Yeah.
You know, but like I tried to have empathy though, because like he was on the phone with the girl and she's like, oh, he always makes me feel better. And I'm like, well, there's a positive in there, right? Like he's not dating her. He's not saying he's going to date her. He just makes her feel better about it. He's sweet, I guess. He's collecting all these photos from girls with false promises. To do what with?
Right. And so, yeah, I think like the engagement of even the group chat. I know this is all really exaggerated, right? But it's like playing on this idea of how guys are with each other in their group chats and kind of like how you can or everyone, like you hype each other up. You say stuff that like is just in the chat. It's not meant to be said. But I do think there is something to be said about like really being who you are in all the spaces. I think that so many of us are afraid to be who we are. And
especially today.
Yeah. And then we end up having like these double, triple, quadruple personas and it's scary.
But it's like by necessity because we're afraid of getting canceled or something or being, you know, looked at in a bad way just because of who we are inside.
Yeah.
But I just had a weird flashback all of a sudden. My dad was telling me about a guy he knew, and what he would do is he would audition girls and then say something to the effect of, okay, show me what you got or something like that, with no intention of ever booking them, but just to see them naked. And I remember as a kid hearing that and thinking, that is gross. And I still think that to this day. I'm like, that's really gross that you would do something like that and exploit women in this particular circumstance. I keep harping on that because I realize that you just schooled me. I'm like, I don't know why I didn't see that earlier. Like,
well, it's like, I mean, it's because I have friends who have experienced such things.
Yeah.
So it's, I think I can see it a little bit clearer or like have my own personal experience with it.
Yeah.
Well, the other part I really liked is when they were saying how often in relationships, and have been faulty of this, you're so distrusting because of your past experiences or whatever you've heard, and no one trusts each other.
Yeah.
And so you go into relationships being like, oh, I'll just keep these people on the side. Like I won't do anything yet, but like just in case he does something, it won't suck that bad because I was doing it too. Like that kind of mindset I see so often in people, and it's like, why don't we just try by trusting one person?
Yeah, I think part of what you're talking about is called orbiters. You have these guys that are orbiters for women, just waiting for them to break up with their boyfriend. And I've been an orbiter at one point or another just because of curiosity, but like those women that I'm thinking of confided in me and told me their relationship is on the rocks and they're not happy, and I'm like, well, I would make you happy. Like that's a thought I've had twice. I succeeded in one of those instances. There is something frustrating about that, especially as a dude, because I remember having a conversation with my best friend because I was trying to get out of a toxic relationship or something like that. And she's like, don't you have orbiters? Like girls who were just like interested in you? Like, no. You're a woman. That's different for you. You have a completely different experience. That's your female privilege. Like, you have a completely different experience than I do. Women have orbiters. Men are wallpaper until they encounter the one girl who's willing to take a chance on him. I feel like a lot of guys experience that. So back to the movie. I thought that this was just a profoundly interesting like thought experiment because like what would happen if you exchange phones with someone that you're interested in? What would you find? Would you still want to be with them anyway? Because I remember as a kid, that's what it is. As a kid, I remember talking to someone because I had a hard time with my first girlfriend. Like what he was talking about with, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. So many things I'm trying to say at once. My girlfriend in high school was the kind of girl that every guy wanted. Like everybody liked her. She had this very sweet, wholesome girl next door look, and everyone was interested in her. And it was like, I had to kind of like, it was difficult. And so what made it more difficult was the fact that I grew up Catholic. And Catholicism teaches you a certain philosophy, which she didn't abide by. And I had a hard time dealing with her experience when we started dating. That was rough for me. And so I found, it's like once you start digging, you find things and it's like you can't unknow these things and it just messes with you and it's corruptive. It really is bad for your mind and soul. And so I could relate to that aspect of things. I remember talking to one of my dad's friends who was going to USC at the time, and he's like, look, you don't love them for them being perfect. You love them for their imperfections. And that was like a weird thing I couldn't wrap my head around. Even to this day, it's like sometimes I still have a hard time with that. But you do want to like find that person who you love because of their imperfections.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I agree with you. Like, motive of the film is fascinating to me. The execution was exhaustive.
It's a little bit redundant.
Yeah, and I think like maybe that was a part of the artistic choice, but even like with the music choices, it was like in your ears, like the same flute from the beginning every time, and so many uses of montages, which I think can be useful, but I think like with the mixture of the story, I was like getting punched in the face with it, and I was like, you know me, I'm like, just break up, just break up. You guys are so annoying. You're annoying all your friends, your family, break up.
No, it did seem like, I mean, from the outside looking in, it's easier to say that. And I think you and I are both coming from the same place of, okay, one thing I get asked about on live streams all the time is what would you do different if you could go back? And I have the same answer. It's not like I would go back and kill Hitler or stop 9/11. If I could go back, I would break up with a girl sooner.
Right.
Like, every single relationship I would have ended sooner. That's the thing. It's like, I love my life and I love my experiences, and I feel like they've made me more interesting. I've got so many stories at the wazoo. That's all well and good. But if like I could go back and change anything, I would have left sooner, to move on sooner, to maybe find the one sooner. But like, our experiences make us who we are at the end of the day, whether we like it or not. I wouldn't be sitting next to you right now having this conversation if not for the experiences that I've had.
And same.
You know, that's how life is.
Yeah.
It's weird, and you just got to appreciate it for what it is.
Totally.
And so I think by the end, the intent is you're supposed to love your partner for who they are, flaws and all. I don't feel like it communicated that message as clearly as it needed to be communicated.
Yeah.
What it communicated was, we are hypocrites, we have secrets. He was afraid to let go. Like when like you said it earlier, when he realized that he couldn't ever have it again, that's when he was like, oh no, I want it. It's like, yeah, but that's still like is under the umbrella of toxicity though.
Totally. And it's like, yeah, you are supposed to love your partner's imperfections.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to cross lines. And they both cross lines. So like, is the point that we're supposed to be like, well, that's my partner, so screw it. You can flirt with everyone.
I think that what the dad was saying was important, and I don't know that it was perfectly executed. I mean, in fact, I would argue that it's not perfectly executed. The dad was saying, the reason I did this is because not because I wanted you guys to break up, but because I wanted you guys to prove that you could overcome any hurdle. It's like, okay, I get that. Because it's not about who you are when everything is peaceful. It's who you are in times of conflict.
That's right.
You know, when shit is hard and difficult. Because it's easy to love someone when you're not fighting. It's easy to love someone when everything is peachy and cheery and whatever. When you're at odds with each other about something, when you experience a conflict or a roadblock, how do you treat each other in those moments?
Yeah.
Because that's really telling about your real character. A lot of us will struggle in those kinds of instances, but like, can you and your partner get through that stuff together? I don't want to go too deep because then I'm going to get into my personal shit and I don't want to do that. All I'm saying is like, I've dealt with like exes who, when it came to conflict, if I was like, for instance, on edge because because of something that went wrong or bad, how did they treat me? Did they close the gap? That's my big phrase. It's like, do you close the gap? You know, like if you and I are having an argument, who are you going to close the gap? Especially if I'm feeling vulnerable and hurt. Are you going to close the gap, or are you just going to sit there and watch me?
Yeah.
You know, because closing the gap is important.
Definitely.
You know, if you see that your girlfriend is hurt, are you going to put your arm around her?
We have so much ego in fighting with people, and I think that it's as simple as reassurance sometimes.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that's so hard for couples to give each other, like as if they give them that, they lose all their cards.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is everything. Like everyone's human and needs to be reassured.
Yeah.
Even the most confident people, I'm very confident, but if I'm feeling some type of, I need you to tell me, like, what do you want to know? Whatever it is.
Yeah. Like you said, the acting was pretty good. Stylistically, the film was interesting. I forgot the name of the actor, the bigger guy who's like the doctor.
Oh yeah, I liked his character.
Yeah, this was such a good role for him because it's so opposite of what I'm used to seeing from him. He's usually playing like this sort of scummy street character, but like in a funny way.
Yeah.
Whereas here he was more of this guy who was centered, like he was really his center of gravity. You know, is like he's not insecure or trying to make someone happy. He's like this is who he is.
Right.
You know, and he's very polite.
Mhm.
He's actually a good dude.
Yeah.
And the reveal of where he was coming from, I felt so bad for him at the end of the movie. I was like, oh shit, like there are people who really go through that.
It's true. Like, you shouldn't jump to conclusions even when, like, most of the times when there's smoke, there's fire. Sometimes it is just smoke. So, like, in that case, I thought that was a cool storyline to be added in because you should really trust your partner and want to see all the facts before you jump to conclusions.
Yeah, but when someone's snatching their phone away,
It's weird.
You got to explain that.
You do.
Yeah. This movie was actually quite triggering for me.
Yeah, totally.
Like, there was a lot of stuff in this film that was very triggering, and I was having to like sit here and be like, okay, let's compartmentalize all of my bullshit because that's not what this is about. We're just gonna focus on what these characters are going through. Because like when he was finding all of this data about who she was hanging out with, who she was spending time in, like actively saying, I had to lie to him. I'm like, oh God. Just put that aside. This is not about you, Jaby. This is about these characters. You know what I mean? It was hard.
Yeah, I know. I felt challenged during it. It was like, oh my God, bro. I remember dating someone who always put his phone face down. Like, didn't have the passcode. Like, I couldn't even DJ in the car. Like, it's like, okay, you're cheating. Like, I get it.
I couldn't DJ in the car.
Like, give me your phone, bro. Now it's like a non-negotiable. I need your password. I need full comfort. Yeah. I'm not going to go searching, but I need to feel comfortable. And if you flinch, I know.
Yeah. The thing about it is, we got to her stuff, and this was early in the movie. I'm like, we still have like an hour and a half to go.
I know.
So what is going on with his character?
Yeah.
And when they started examining him, I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, the thing about it is that I like that this movie did was it makes men, myself included, examine your character. Mm-hmm. Because we can be very hypocritical where, you know, a guy will criticize the way a woman looks, the way she dresses, the way she talks, the way she does this or that. It's like, how do you behave, guy?
Right.
Like, how are you acting? Are you perfect? Probably not. That is a very important aspect of this film. It's like, you know, it's all well and good to criticize a girl when she doesn't know your shit. As soon as she knows your shit, it's like, oh, you got that dumb look on your face. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I appreciated that aspect of this. There's a lot to extract from this movie. I just wish that it was a less bumpy ride, if that makes any sense. Like, I wish that it stuck the landing a little bit more clean, where I understood exactly what the
issues were.
Yeah, the issues, the intent, and the way it went about it. Like, I wanted to feel the forgiveness that he felt, and I didn't. I was still mad at her because she had some splaining to do that she didn't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It just didn't make any sense. It's like, oh, I trust you. I'm like, but why? She was lying. Why?
Full on.
Yeah.
Full on lying.
So that was confusing. But ultimately, there were positives to extract from this, so I appreciate it. It's not perfect, but it's definitely worthwhile, you know?
Kind of like their relationships, I guess.
Yeah. One other thing is, like, we have a very different attitude about relationships than in Asia. I think in India that you will more likely fight for that relationship than you will in the States. Especially if you're married. You need to have conflict in your relationships. I think that sometimes we get scared of any conflict at all, and myself included. I remember, like, in one relationship, as soon as conflict started arriving, I was trying to bounce because I was scared that just more conflict would happen. And I think that you need to have that in your relationships, because otherwise it's like going to a martial arts movie and there's no fight scenes. You need to have those things because it actually helps mold your character to be more interesting, and you make each other better. Achara's told me about her past relationships where there were never any fights. I'm like, that sounds boring. That sounds so boring that you've never had a single fight with your partner. Like Sintel told me he has gone out of his way to have a fight with his partner. He's like, yo, we're gonna have a fight today. Because we haven't had a fight in a long time, we should just have a fight today, a conflict today. I'm like, why would you do that? He's like, it was needed. I was like, all right, man, you do you. Whatever leads you to your healthy relationship.
I guess.
But like, I actually thought that was interesting. And like, I think that I would probably be inclined to do the same thing if I had the sense. Like, if I haven't had a fight in a long time, like, let's say it's been 6 months, you need to have conflict. We love to bitch as people. We love to bitch. And I think that we all need to know that. If I'm dating you and you fuck up, I want to go complain to my friends about it. And you need to be cool with that. Like, we just need to be cool about that, as long as they are not advising us in a way to destroy the relationship, and we just like to bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As human beings, we just like to do that. That's okay to do.
Without crossing certain lines.
Sure.
If it's your partner, you just don't cross certain verbiage,
Yeah.
I guess you'd say. But I do agree in the sense that like the best couples know how to fight. And I think that doesn't mean you cuss each other out or raise your voice. You just know how to have conflict.
We can talk about that for hours. I think we should do a podcast. You know, I've had conversations with Sintel where I'm just like, yo, I'm about to kill her. And he'll just laugh. And it's like, you need that. That's joy. It's joy. It's like that silver lining. Men and women are so different in so many ways and like we really are from different planets sometimes in the way that we communicate. There's this like symbiosis to everything where it's like, now I get to go complain to my friends and we can relate to each other about that. I'm saying some good shit here. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But so all I'm trying to say is it's like they needed to have a clear idea, at least in the second half of the film, as to why these two should work it out. That's what it is. I didn't understand why they should work it out.
Yeah, I agree completely.
That's what it is that I've been like dancing around. You guys, Steph wants me to end the video, I can tell. So thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for hanging out. Subscribe, bell icon, all notifications, vote this up. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is
STEPH.
Peace out.